Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's Garrett from Team Synergy, otherwise known as Sin. And this is going to be a deck profile of my Shiranui deck that I used to top Spring Fest Houston 2024. So let's get right into the deck profile, shall we? Alright guys, so let's go ahead and hop into the deck profile. So starting off with the G zone, it's gonna be pretty standard, you're running for Magin Timbu. I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory. Always your first stride. This is what gets you into your power scaling. It has the axe skill. Once per turn, counterblast one, and turn a card from your G zone face up. You choose one of your opponent's rear guards. Stand and dominate it. It attacks your opponent's other unit, and then you retire that unit at the battle. So what I was typically doing, and what I still find myself doing to this day, is I will, stride this on top of Obero. I'll use Obero skill to dominate, an opponent, if they have a rear guard, to dominate one of their rear guards, typically a front row, and I'll swing it at their, other front row. So if they have like two grade 2s, it'll take out, I'll stride this, use Obero skill to dominate one grade 2 in the front row, swing it at the other grade 2 to take it out, because typically they don't want to waste hand, and then I'll use Magin Timbu skill to go ahead and dominate the same one, swing it at either, another rear guard, if possible, so they can't hit a defensive and like basically just kill my turn, or just swing it at the Vanguard. And typically most people, if they're smart, they'll take it to see if they hit a defensive, because the first stride isn't too big power wise, but most people will just end up guarding it anyways, so you're not really worried about defensives. So that's all for that one. Then your best stride, you always want to be striding into this turn 2, well, your second stride and every other stride for Mukuro. So you have to discard one of these, the Shiranui. You have to discard one of these to stride into it. You can't discard like a regular grade 3 or a grade 1 and grade 2. It has to be the name like all the other ones have been. So for this, his skill is an Act Vanguard Circle once per turn, GB2. You Soul Blast 1. That's the cost. Just the Soul Blast 1. You choose one of your opponent's rear guards, stand and dominate it, and it attacks your opponent's Vanguard. It has to attack the Vanguard. You can't attack into a rear to clear out your opponent's rear. It has to attack the Vanguard, so just be wary of that. And then at the end of the battle, you stand and dominate all your opponent's Vanguards, and then they attack your opponent's rear guards. So basically the way this works is, like, let's say this is my opponent's Vanguard, right? I'll have a rear guard here. I'll swing and dominate it at the Vanguard. They typically guard it, and then I'll dominate the Vanguard, swing it at their rear guard, and then I'll get my 2 drive checks from my deck, and, I basically power scale it on my rear guards to make it even harder. Hitting crits is very good on those 2 drive checks, or 3 if they're on grade 4s. Or hitting fronts are also very good. But yeah, that's that. That's all for the strides. Moving on to the ride deck. I mean, it was the 1 Obero. This is the grade 3 you're going into. 1 Shoujo Doji. This Shoujo Doji is crazy. This thing's like insane. So his skill, the only one that matters, is Auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You choose up to 2 normal units with Stealth in its card name from among them. Reveal them. Put one of the revealed cards into your soul, and you call the remaining revealed cards to Rearguard Circle and shuffle your deck. So basically, what happens here is you look at the top 5. You reveal 2 normal stealth names. They have to be normal units, can't be triggers. And then you shove one to soul, call the other one to rear, meaning you can call grade 3s stealth, grade 1s, grade 2s. So this thing's insane. It also generates that soul, which this deck uses a lot, so we need. Yeah, I mean, this card's really good. Probably, as we recently saw, they're changing it in Japan to where we have to ride the original ride line that we got with the deck, which Genkai isn't bad, and I'll have a deck profile on that post-ban list if we get it in English, which we probably will, for y'all, and you can hear my thoughts and stuff on that. But this thing's really good, and so yeah, that's why we're running that. The one crush generator, nothing really to say. You create a crush, draw one, super good, and the one starter has to be Midori because Sezui has to ride on top of the grade 0 like all the other Stride deck sets have been. So again, that's the ride line. Nothing too much to say about that. Then we have the crest. Obviously can't Stride without it. And then moving on to the grade 3s. So for the grade 3s, I'm running 2 Oboro, right? Not 3. I tested 3. I felt like 3 was a little too cloggy. When it came to, cards in hand and stuff like that. So 2 is fine, especially because, we can search it off dog. So it came up when I wanted it, and, when I didn't want to see it, it was never there. So 2 is really good. And then I'm running the 1 regular Stealth Shiranui. So if you're curious on why I'm running this, you can call it off the Shoji Doji because it's a regular stealth name, and so if you're grade 2 gaming, just having a 13k beater at all times, with an 8k booster behind it makes it 21k. Is super good. It's also basically a 5th Blorvis. When you discard it for Stride, it draws a card, and then it's another attacker. If you don't have a restander and you just need to call something that's not just utterly dead, right? So just very good. That's why we're running it. And then for the last grade 3s, I'm running 4 Blorvis. This card's insane. Yeah, there's really nothing much to say about this card. So, the only thing that matters about this card is when this card is discarded from hand while riding a grade 3 from the ride deck or paying the cost for Stride, you draw a card, right? It has the second skill if you're on a grade 4 Vanguard, or, when you call it, if you're on a grade 4 Vanguard, or, you can reveal one in hand to perform, one of the following effects. You basically retire an opponent's rear. That's the only effect that comes up for me. I never use it to guard, right? Because I'm not running Esperar, and I'll get into that in just a second. But yeah, so 4 Blorvis, really good card. Okay, so moving on to the grade 2s. For the best card in the deck. Like, there's really nothing more to say about this. This card is just so free, so good. There's a reason why the ride line was hit in Japan and is going to get hit in JP. So, you're running 4 Izaso. Izaso is when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Shoji Doji in its card name, counterblast 1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You choose up to 1 normal unit with stealth in its card name from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle the deck. So, I mean, you're grade 2 gaming or just on your first grade 2, they're going to give you a counterblast. You call it off the Shoji Doji ride line, or you have it in hand already. You call it, activate skill. You can add PGs off of this, pieces you're missing, attackers, the stealth dragon to pitch for Stride, and Oboro in case you have literally everything else. It's just so good, like so versatile, and yeah, I had to run for this. So, and then next for the grade 2s, we're getting into the multi-attackers now. I'm running 4 Fudai. This is the best multi-attacker in the deck, right? So his skill is continuous rearguard circle. This unit gets 5k for each time a unit dominated by you attack this turn. meaning that he doesn't have to be on board and see the dominated attacks to get the 5k. So on your first stride, if they have a rear guard, he's plus 10k, and then on your Mukuro strides, he's plus 15k, meaning, on your Mukuro stride, he's 35k swinging, once, and then, you'll boost him again for the second one. Just really good card. Broken, and then, he has his restander ability. When your Vanguard attacks, if a unit dominated by you attacks this turn, Soul Blast 1 and stand this unit. Yes, a unit has to be dominated for this thing to restand, as do the other restanders I'm playing. But, that's not an issue, because typically, if they don't give me a rear guard, I'll have grade 1s in the back row, and I just push them forward. And, they're swinging 13k because Mogin Timbu's flipping up 1 for the crest, giving 5k to the front row. So there's that, right? And then I'm running only 3 Seke. If you're wondering why I'm running 3, 4, I didn't have space for the 4th, for 1. And 2, like, this is your worst one. You don't ever want to see this on your first stride, because, it doesn't get the extra power gain, because you have to have 2 face up in G zone, not GB2. You have to have 2 face up in G zone to get the 10k and draw cards. So, like, it literally just is a 15k restander. So not the best, right? And, so you never want to see it on your first stride, and then the turns forward, the what's it called? The food eye just gets bigger anyways. So yes, you want to call this if the draw for the draw if you need the hand, but other than that, you typically want, like, what I was typically doing was I would call, like, a food eye and a Seke, and then just give all the power gains off triggers to the Seke to make everything 3 card guards from my opponent's hand. So that's why I'm only running 3. And then for the last grade 2 that I'm running, it's a blitz order. I'm running 2 defending roar. This thing is insane, right? Shout out to the decks that were running it in London. This card's unreal, right? I thought about it as an option before, but once I saw the London results, this thing just, like, that's when I was really like, all right, there's possibility with this card. So defending roar, you choose one of your guardians without sentinels, and until the end of the battle, it gets auto. When this unit is retired from Guardian Circle, you put this card into your hand, and then it gives plus 10k shield. It doesn't give it to that unit, meaning, if the unit's retired, you don't get the shield anymore. No, it just gets the 10k shield. And so basically what you'll do is you can go call front trigger. It's 20k shield. You defending roar, bounce the front trigger back to your hand to use for another, that's another 20k shield for another attack, and then, that's 30k on its own. So, really good. The only problems that people argue is, like, well, if you have this and Elementaria in your hand, you're screwed, and it's like, typically, if you have Elementaria in your hand and another PG, you always want to be using Elementaria first, or, you can wait on the Elementaria and defending roar first. So there's ways to play around it. This card's nuts. Like, you can, like, this card makes it to where you don't get punished by having the over trigger in your hand, right? You you can call the over trigger to guard with. That's 50k shield, defending roar, give it 60k shield, and then you bounce it back to your hand for another attack, which I did do in the last round of Swiss at the tournament, which everybody was freaking out about. So, very, very good card. Moving on to the grade 1s, though. I'm running 4 Tenere, right? I don't know what a lot of people were running this at. I could see them running it at 3. I could see them running it at 2. This card's just way too good not to be running at 4. Because it was basically another Izaso, right? So when this unit is placed on a rearguard circle, if you have a Demon Stealth Dragon Shiranui Obero crest, counterblast 1 and draw a card. So basically, call for free, right? Like, you get an attacker, you don't lose cards in hand. Counterblast, you only use it, like, once off the first stride, and that's it. So literally everything's bouncing. And then to make this card even more broken, when the attack by a unit dominated by you hits this turn, you may return this unit to your hand. So, when you stride Mukuro, this thing will always be returning to your hand. And when you have it on board, people will sometimes like guard the rear guard attack that the Vanguard you dominated is swinging at, because they don't want you to bounce this to your hand and just have another draw. So it just drops even more cards out of their hand on like useless attacks, right? So very good card. Generates a lot of pressure and stuff like that. Then you have 3 Kagashika. If you're wondering why this is not Forktail, I didn't own it at the time because we didn't get Triple Drive until the week after. So this was a budget Forktail for me. Honestly, I thought this card's insane, right? So the thing about Forktail that, can be argued over this is it shuffles your deck. That's the only thing that Forktail does that you can argue running it over Kagashika, right? So Kagashika's skill is when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, choose a card with stealth and its card name from drop, and you may put it into the soul, right? So this is your like soul charger, quote unquote soul charger, essentially. But yeah, no, it ran fine, right? Really good. And there would be times where like, Forktail shuffles the deck and you're losing pieces in your deck that you want to see for later turns that you just can't see anymore because they're in soul. So there are pros and cons to this card, but this thing was insane. I didn't have any issues with it. And then for the next grade 1, I'm running 3 dog. Not 2. I'm not running 2. 3 was perfect. In hand, it's you can when you pay the cost for stride, it may be discarded as a grade 3, and then you can discard it from hand to go searching your deck or drop for Obero. So really, really good card. Just your basically 5 more copies of Mukuro, or Mukuro. 5 more copies of Obero, or 3 more copies of Obero, so 5 in total. Sorry. And then for the last grade ones, it's the 3 PGs and then the 1 Elementaria. This is standard. The PGs are the stealth PGs. That way you can add them off the Izasos. So that's all for the grade ones. Moving on to the trigger lineup, right? This is going to be pretty standard. There's one thing you can change. So starting off, we're running 4 crit, right? We're trying to kill our opponent, especially the effect crits. These have to be the effect crits because there were times where I didn't have the soul for, my restanders, and I needed this to go into soul just to soul blast it out. So you need to be running for this, like really good. Next, 3 regular crits, so I'm running 7 crit in total. No, these do not have to be stealth names. So if you want to run shiny ones, go ahead and run shiny ones like I'm doing, because everything that involves stealth names has to be normal units. So just 3 of those, and then I'm running 4 fronts, the effect fronts, because 20k guard is really good and defensive work can bounce it to my hand. And also when you're grade 2 gaming, hitting this as a defensive or even offensive is broken because it just kills your opponent's turn. They can't swing it into anything, and then hitting this off Mukuro just makes your things go from 3 card guards to 4 card guards. So really good. And then I was running a 2-2 split of the anti-restand and anti-effect heals. Day 1, I was running just 4 of the anti-crit one because I was set up in a spot where I literally just thought I was going to see Prism all day and Luard all day, and I would just grade 2 game Shiranui, right? I wouldn't say it didn't work out. I think, we had a teammate who was playing Prism who literally just learned it 3 days ago, and we had him going up against Shiranui like people think Prism counters Shiranui. It was just unfortunate. He was trying to learn the deck that week, and so I think that's the reason why we didn't do too good. But yeah, going back for day 2, I did switch 2-2 because I really thought I was only going to see Shiranui and Prism. I wasn't worried about Luard, which I did go up against a Luard, but the heals didn't matter in that matchup anyways. So I think 2-2 split standard. I think vanilla's heals are dumb. I don't know why people run vanilla heals. It's, in my opinion, like, it's just so bad. There's no reason not to run these when you get an extra 15k shield off of effects, right? So, and then the last trigger in the deck, everybody's favorite card, the OT, specifically the Dragon Empire one, because they just made this card broken with Mukuro. There was a ruling where, if you hit the OT on your on the drive checks from your opponent's Vanguard that you dominated, it restands their Vanguard, and then because it's an additional effect from the card, it's not resting, so the domination technically hasn't ended, meaning you still try to resolve the effect as much as possible. So if there's another legal target for their Vanguard to swing at, you swing at it, and then you do another 2 drive checks. So a really broken card. And then if you hit it on, your drive checks, your stride drive checks, it's basically, you restand your van, and then your multi-attack, your restander rear guards aren't once per turn. People are going to cry about that, but, it's whatever. So it's just another 3 attacks. So really good card. This may have a chance to get hit on the English ban list. I don't think it will, like it did in Japan. But if it does, you just swap this out for red OT, because reasons that, if that comes up when the ban list hits, I'll talk about it in the deck profile post ban list. But yeah, that's it for the deck profile. So that's it for the deck profile. Some things I'd like to go over. So there were 7 rounds of Swiss, right? I went 5-2 in Swiss. Yeah, 5-2. I went 5-2 in Swiss. I played 5 Prism matchups and 2 non-Prism matchups, right? Or sorry, 4 Prism matchups and 3 non-Prism matchups, because everybody was taking Prism in because they thought they were gonna see, Shiranui. One thing I would like to mention, I don't think Prism's a counter to Shiranui. Shiranui just goes second. Like, literally, I was going second all day. Of my own choice, by the way, not my opponent. I would win dice roll. I'd choose to go second, and, would just absolutely annihilate Prism all the time. I won every Prism matchup I went against. I played 1 Shiranui match, and shout out to Cam. Unfortunate, I hit my OT first stride. It just put him in such a bad situation, especially when I went second, so I got the extra draws and the attack pressure. Just put him in such a bad situation he couldn't come back. And then I played against Messiah. I lost because of OT on his second grade 2 turn. And then I played against Luard. Shout out to that guy. That guy was really good. I thought he was going to ride up a turn earlier, and he stayed on grade 2 because I had a full board and he had nothing. And he decided to stay on grade 2 and OT'd me for game. So that was unfortunate. And then, we get into Top Cut. I played Prism last round of Swiss. They bubbled in as... So our only loss was to the undefeateds. And after round 6, there was only 1 undefeated, which was, in fact, our loss. And then they ended up losing to an X1, which put them X1. So everybody in top 8 was X1, right? So we ended up having the better tiebreakers, which put us first after Swiss. Surprisingly, we were not expecting that, but, it is what it is, which I guess also helped getting into top 4, because the last team we 3-0'd in the last round of Swiss, they bubbled in as 8th, so they immediately played us the first round of Top Cut, and we 3-0'd them again. It was just an unfortunate matchups for them. We had the counters for all of it. I was playing Shiranui against Prism, beat him again. It was Night Rose against MLB, surprisingly, Nairos is a protect deck, so he just kept generating the protects. There's nothing MLB can do. And then it was, I think, DP, I want to say, against Crest Luard. Shout out to all the judges and Zach. Everybody was pogging over Zach's Crest Luard deck, as you saw. I think Premium had the wrong format. I think they should have been playing Standard, but it is what it is. And so that was my top cut, or that was the first round of top cut. Second top cut, I played against Prism. I lost to it, and I lost to 6 damage OT, right? Unfortunate. Our V player, Garrett, he had won his match. So it was literally up to me or Zach to win. I swung rearguard first, thinking his OT was in hand, and he was going to use it to guard the turn. It wasn't in his hand. The first damage he took off of it, because I got greedy, was OT. And I literally swing Vanguard, and I do hit a crit on the thing. So had I just swung Vanguard first, I could have put the crit on the rear guard, swung rear guard, and it would have been OT and another damage, which would have won us that game. And also, our Premium player, same thing happened to him. He swung rear guard. His opponent was at 4, 6 damage OT, the exact same kill turn that we were going into. It was just unfortunate. Unfortunate circumstances. Not much you can do when you're expecting your OT to be out of the deck, and it's still in the deck, and they hit the 1 in 50 cards, right? So nothing you really do about that. I'm not mad at that. It's a little frustrating to know that had we just swung differently, attacked differently, we could have gotten further. But it was fine other than that. And then our Consolation, I think is what it's called, for third and fourth. I went up against a Youthberg Fullblast. Shout out to Alex, Team Heritage. That man's the GOAT. One of the best players in my opinion. I did everything I could. He unfortunately didn't get Fullblast his first Great 3 turn going first. He had to go the vanilla. But he ended up having like 1 card in his hand on his last turn. He had 1 card in his hand. 2 of his Fullblast went to damage, and the last one he used the turn before, right? So his last card in hand literally had to be Fullblast in order to win that game. And he's just the GOAT. He has it. Nothing I can really do about that, right? So he takes that. We got 3-0 waxed in the finals, or in the Consolation. But Heritage is a really good team. So shout out to them. But yeah, other than that, that's the deck profile. Another thing I'd like to mention, I know I keep saying this, if you're wondering why I'm not playing Esper, again, like I said, I would mention, the card's a dead card. You really only want to see it first stride turn against Prism specifically. Then after that, it's a dead card in hand. You can't use it when you're grade 2 gaming. So I just didn't run it, didn't miss it. Would I change? Would I add, if I could have gone back and added it in? Would I? Absolutely not. I think that card is a great card in general. I think just in Shiranui, it's not good enough to be put in. It doesn't need to be put in. So other than that, yeah, that's the deck profile. Thank you guys for watching. Please, if you have any other takes, to let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But yeah, thank you.